Thank you. Alongside Alison Craig, who is a defense attorney who specializes in sexual assault cases. Most of the questions we heard in the news conference were about why it took so long for charges to be laid in this case. Were you surprised by the answers?
I was surprised by how candid he was. I think a lot of us assumed that it was the complainant not wanting to proceed with charges at the time. It seems from his answers, it was much more the investigation the first time around wasn't good enough.
An emotional apology from the chief of police to the alleged victim and her family. You've been covering cases like this for almost 20 years. Do you remember that happening?
Never. Certainly not in a public forum like that.
So what happens next? We're entering this disclosure phase where the Crown is going to send all the evidence it has gathered to the 5 respective defense attorneys. What happens then?
Time will be taken, weeks if not months, to review it all. There's a number of required meetings that will be held between the lawyers and the Crown and the lawyers and the Crown and judges. Ultimately, at the end of all of that, which is likely several months down the line, a trial date will likely be set.
Now, there's a possibility of 5 separate trials or 1. You believe the likelihood is 1. Why?
The presumption is that there's 1, assuming all 5 are charged together. The defense can apply to have separate trials if they want to, but it's going to be a very, very tough sell to convince any judge that the complainant should be required to testify on 5 separate occasions.
And finally, as far as the length of the trial, you figure somewhere in the neighborhood more than a year at least from now until the trial?
Yeah, definitely going to be at least a year. Likely the trial would be in 2025 sometime.
And of course the players were not in court this morning. It was simply their lawyers by video, and a pretty good chance we won't see the players until a trial.
It's almost certain you won't see the players until the trial.
Alison Craig, we appreciate your time, and I'm sure we'll be back to get your expert opinions on this throughout.